What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, it's going to be a fairly short video. We're going to talk about case premiums in the Pokemon market on sealed product. I'm going to give you guys a few examples, starting with Fusion Strike. We're also going to look at Black Bolt, Prismatic, Destined Rivals, Mega Evolution, and Fantasmal Flames. So for the longest time, I think the consensus has been in the hobby that if you can buy case quantity for the same price as the loose box equivalent would be, you may as well buy a sealed case because in the future, there's probably going to be a premium on the cases. And we see this a lot with booster boxes and ETBs. And these are just going to be a few examples. So if you guys like this content, I could do a full deep dive into every single booster box set and ETB from the Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet eras onward, maybe even some older stuff from the Sun and Moon era. And I think with at least 5 of these 6 cents being fairly new and popular, these are going to be things that a lot of people coming into the hobby are currently looking at. I do think, though, that a lot of Sword and Shield, and that's kind of why I threw in one box, Sword and Shield I think is starting to bottom out, especially the top sets like Fusion Strike, Evolving Skies, Lost Origin. A lot of those are down like 25, 26%. And I just can't imagine they're going to drop too much more. We're starting to see supply level out on the secondary market. Sales volume is still fairly weak, but at least we're not seeing, cases upon cases upon cases of boxes continue to come to market, which is something that we were seeing there for a very long period of time. So with something like Fusion Strike, you don't have a huge case premium right now, 2.95%. Not super large. You could probably just buy a sealed case if you were planning to put that much money into Fusion Strike. But I think when it comes to investing right now, starting off with the specialty sets, you should really be paying attention to Black Bolt and Prismatic. If a store has multi-quantity of these, you should probably try and get the sealed cases. I was actually looking here in Canada, I was looking on Shopify, and there are a couple stores that will still send you a sealed case of 10 if you order 10 Black Bolt Elite Trainer boxes from them. Not every store is doing that. Unfortunately, when I bought my Black Bolt ETBs, I found out they won't be coming in a sealed case. That said, I think I got them for about $80 USD converted. So I'm not terribly upset since it is starting to get difficult to find these in Canada at a decent price. We had Walmart, the original restock wave or whatever with these, but outside of that, we haven't seen anything new come to market yet, at least up here. And you can see the cases, we're sitting around $960, and that's giving you a case premium of about 12%. So it makes sense if you can find a store willing to send you that sealed case if you buy 10 of the loose ones and it's near market price, go ahead and do so. Prismatic Evolutions, I think this is a little bit more difficult to find, even up here in Canada. A lot of people understand the case premium at this point. And it makes sense because it's not like it's 5-10%. For Prismatic, it is 33.58%. The loose ETB is going for around $124. And then the case is going somewhere between $1,650 and $1,700 on TCG Play. And I think that this gap is actually going to get larger in the short term just because with a lot of these ETBs restocking at stores in Canada, you can find these for like $80, $85 USD converted all day, every day shipped if you just get in a couple of the Facebook groups. So a decent opportunity to buy the ETBs. But at the same time, there's going to be so many of these out there that you might want to try and find a deal on a sealed case because I think we're at the point where you kind of have to look at these differently, look at them as different sealed products. And the beauty about buying a sealed ETB case is that I think people do look at them a little bit differently compared to when they look at something like a booster box case. And the reason for that is the ETB cases are going to be a lot cheaper. You only have 9 packs in each ETB, so you have 90 packs in an ETB case, whereas in a booster box case, you're gonna have 216 packs. So because people are paying less money, they're probably going to be more comfortable spending that on a sealed case, whereas for some of these booster boxes, you'll see this all the time, people just get to the point where they're not comfortable paying 5 figures plus for something where they don't know exactly what's inside of it because someone could have just bought stop tape, resealed whatever inside of it. So you don't actually know if you're getting the booster box. And I just feel, based on my experience in the hobby, we don't really see that with ETBs at this point, and that's because we don't really see ETB cases getting up towards, you know, $10,000-$15,000 yet. Maybe in the future that will become more relevant. And then also another pro to buying the ETB case is that a lot of times the ETBs, the sides of them, the wrap will break. You'll have little rips in the plastic, and that could happen just during shipping at no fault of anybody. It's just not a super solid build on those ETBs. So in the future, I think people will have issues trying to sell tons of ETBs. I don't think it's gonna be the largest issue in the world, but you will have some buyers that want minty boxes for display purposes. And that issue is just entirely negated if you buy the sealed case, because obviously people will not be opening the stop tape to check the contents inside. So there you go. On the ETB front, we will look at a couple of these booster boxes, starting off with Destined Rivals, up to around $407 now, by the way, on TCG Player after the sale. And I think we've seen a couple boxes move as high as around $430 USD during the sale. Destined Rivals as well. A lot of the cards aren't really doing that well at the moment. The Team Rocket's Mewtwo EX is down around 15% on the month, sitting around $450. I think it's going to continue moving down. You can see here we've had sales as low as $395 for light blades, and then a couple near mints in that $450 range over the past 48 hours. The two recent sales, however, are a little bit higher, but again, we haven't even seen reprints of Destined Rivals, at least not sizable ones at this point. So when that does come, I imagine these cards will be cheaper. The Team Rocket's Moltres EX as well. We all know that the UPC coming out definitely affected the price, but you can see here, we got down to around $105, $110 on TCG Player. And over the weekend sale, we've actually bumped back up to around $130 on this card. So people have definitely been buying up a lot of copies there. But the booster box cases going for around $2,464 USD. That's less than a 1% case premium. If you're willing to put $2,500 towards Destined Rivals right now, you may as well just buy a sealed booster box case. That said, another thing to consider right now is what the reprint landscape is going to look like over the life cycle of these sets, because for something like Prismatic Evolutions, a lot of stores had limits in place where you could only get 1 or 2 ETBs, so there weren't a ton of sealed cases on the market. Whereas for something like Mega Evolutions, the enhanced booster boxes, if we get a sizable reprint in, say, 6 months, 12 months, and Pokemon popularity and investing is, you know, coming off its high of 2025, there might be a lot of stores that are willing to move in case quantity where you can get those sealed boxes. And by the way, for you guys who are curious about Mega Evolution and how some of the cards are doing right now, they are definitely coming down in price. The gold Mega Lucario, still the most expensive card in the set, sitting around $411. I think that this was over $600, over $700 actually after the set release. So coming down a ton, and I think it will probably continue to drop in price. Most recent near mint sale from today, $385 USD, and that's going on during the sale. The Mega Gardevoir EX, this is around $200, $205 currently. I think the Mega Lucario is $197, $195, something like that. And you can see near mint copies selling as low as $180. And they're beautiful artworks, don't get me wrong, but we're just beginning into the life cycle of some of these sets. So I imagine in the future when reprints come, we will see these drop in price. But the enhanced booster box case, if you guys are curious, about $1,500 currently. That's about a 4% premium on those sealed cases, which is actually the highest of the 4 sets we're looking at today. And you can see here, Fantasmal Flames, the final one we're talking about. It's actually more expensive to buy 6 loose booster boxes, at least on something like TCG Player, than it is to currently buy a sealed booster box case from the same platform. And you can probably find deals through your LGS or maybe on Facebook, something else. So I'm not necessarily saying that this applies to everybody's situation, but currently on this platform, if you guys are looking to build a position in Fantasmal Flames, it is actually cheaper to buy a sealed case than it is to just load up on the loose boxes. And in the future, you're likely going to see this number go green, maybe somewhere between, I don't know, 1 to 5%. I do think that the ETBs in general might end up having like higher overall case premiums, but I could be wrong about that. I would have to do a full data dive. So again, if you guys are finding this interesting, I could definitely do it for the Sun and Moon era, Sword and Shield era, Scarlet and Violet era, etc. And before we close out the video, I did just want to show you guys how a couple of the cards are doing in Phantasmal Flames if you aren't paying attention. The Mega Charizard X, EX, SIR, this really is a beautiful card. And honestly, I'm not a huge fan of buying singles and slabs, but this might be something where if Phantasmal gets hit hard with reprints over the next 18 months, and I see this card starting to bottom out, I might actually make a play and get one copy of this card in a PSA 10. I just think it is such a beautiful card. I think it would make a great display piece in videos, in shorts, and then in the future, if I can sell it for a profit, that would be the cherry on top. So this is definitely a card I am keeping my eye on. The gold card in the set, the Mega Charizard XEX, I hate this. I really don't like a lot of the new gold cards. I think they're super boring and plain. I know some people like them, which is awesome, but I think the reality is that these are going to get old very quickly. I mean, you look at One Piece, and I know a lot of people don't like when I talk about One Piece, but only one gold card has Bandai released. That was the Gold Roger from OP09. And I think the way they went about that, just having contrast with the artwork of the character, works so much better than these Pokemon cards, where probably in person the texture is cool, but I just don't like the appeal of it only being like 1 or 2 shades of yellow. I just think it's a little bit boring and does not compare at all to the SIR. So that's really all I wanted to get to in this video. You guys let me know in the comment section down below what you think. Are you buying right now? And if so, are you trying to pick up sealed cases? I definitely think that that is the way to go. Also, if you guys are interested in One Piece, definitely check out the second channel tonight. We're actually going to be looking at data in the spreadsheet, talking about the sealed cases over there for the booster boxes and just what is going on with the TCG player market. It really has been vindicating to see a lot of the top creators in the Pokemon sphere and the TCG investing sphere start to talk about One Piece over the past 60 days. I remember back, April, May of this year when I started making videos seriously about investing in One Piece, I got ridiculed in the comment section by a ton of people, and it's so funny in real time just to watch that change, watch people that never thought it was a good investment start to come over to the other channel and comment that they're picking up boxes. So I definitely think it's a good investment. It's also good probably for Pokemon to have a little bit of competition in the TCG world, especially if the collector side in One Piece continues to grow. They're going to just have to step up their game even more. And I think in terms of what that can mean for fans, we're probably going to get better artworks. Maybe eventually we get serialized cards. The possibilities are endless, and that's what's so exciting about it for me. So if you guys enjoyed the video, again, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. It helps out a ton. I hope you all had a great weekend. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.